What up, YouTube? Just wanted to do a really quick analysis of this card game that I got. I'll just show you the backs of them for right now, but it's called Dungeon Arena. So it's pretty much a TCG. Yeah, I went there. It's something that I'm working on right now, and what I'm trying to do is, I guess, kind of showcase the defensive deck. Now, there's going to be 2 starter decks that come with this, and then of course booster packs. I think as of right now, I have like 136 different cards. So that's from creatures to spells to traps to items. Very cool game. But I'd like to showcase some of it, but I'd also like to showcase the defensive deck that I've been kind of putting together, and I'm hoping it's good. But let me know down in the comments below, maybe if I should take some of them out or maybe double up a couple of them. Just keep in mind that you can only have a max of 3 cards with the same name. So yeah, let's take a look. Alright, so let's kind of get this started. So as I said before, this game is called Dungeon Arena, and it plays very similar to we'll say like Magic the Gathering or Yu-Gi-Oh! It's like a combination of both of them with some hints of good old Peter Jank in there. So I do want to present this to you guys. So the very first thing that this defensive deck will have is these 2 gargoyles. Now, really quickly, kind of explain what these cards do. Up in the top corners of the card, you have the attack, which is represented by the swords, and then you have the defense, which is represented by the shield. Obviously, this one is the Iron Golem, or I'm sorry, Iron Gargoyle, and then it tells you what kind of creature it is. So there's 3 different types of creatures. You got basic creatures, elite creatures. The only difference between basic and elite is elite have abilities. And then epic creatures, which require a sacrifice to bring out, but when you bring them out, they're very powerful. And then down here in the center, you have a gold cost, and that's pretty much the magic bit of it. So what you have are these gold coins, and it's played out just like Spellbook, one of my other games. So you start off with these gold coins, all right? They never leave the field, and what'll happen is when you spend, which is pretty much like tapping, when you spend a gold coin, you turn it sideways, and then what'll end up happening is when it's back to your turn, on the start of your turn, you earn your gold back. So you can spend wisely. So if I was playing 2 of these Iron Gargoyles, then I would spend 2 of my gold, and I won't get my gold back until the start of my next turn. Alright, so I have 2 Iron Gargoyles, and these guys are really good because they only cost 1, and their defense is 5. They don't have any attack, but they're like these walls. So that's pretty good. Next we have these skeletons, and I have 2 of these in the deck. So skeletons are pretty good. They're not great on attack, but they don't cost anything. So when you get these in your hand, you can play them, and you can have a max of 5 creatures in play at a time. So they're pretty good. The best part about them is, again, they're free, and they have a 3 defense. So that's really good. So skeletons are pretty nice to have in this. Next we have these rock worms. Now these rock worms are kind of like these soldiers, and I have 3 of these in the deck. And these are pretty good because they're 2 and 2, and again, they're free to play. So these are really awesome to have in your deck. And I think they play pretty well in the defensive deck because they're just kind of these walls. Oh, I forgot to mention. So one way, or the one way to pretty much attack your opponent, and the way you win, is to get their hearts to 0. So what will happen is you have 5 hearts, and each one of these represent 2. So when you take a damage, you flip this over, and now you've got a total of 9 life left. All right. Now I'm trying to figure out, and one of the things I want to play test is possibly adding in 20 altogether, if this makes any sense. Actually, take this over here, that might make more sense. So you have 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So I don't know if I want to do 20 or not, maybe in some longer games. But I think 10 would suffice because the attacks aren't very much. But what will happen is say he was attacking me, he would have to attack my rock worm and kill this rock worm. All right. So what this takes effect as is his attack has to meet or beat my defense of a creature. And if I have 0 creatures in play, then he can finally freely attack my life points, or my heart points is what they're calling this. So it's very good to have a great defense, but you also want a good balance of maybe some attacking. And that's where I think these rockworms would kind of play in. Though they're not the strongest, they're just basic, but they're free, so they're really good to kind of get out into play. Nothing takes hit points, alright? That's one thing I do want to mention, is you either meet or beat it. The defense. If you don't meet or beat, they don't take damage. They have to be killed. Just I guess kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh style. And you can't team up. It's just you have to have a creature or maybe a spell or something that'll defeat some stuff. All right. Oh, I don't do that yet. So next we have 3 of these rotting corpses. The rotting corpses are pretty good because again, it's 1/3, but these ones are elite creatures. So this one has a really great ability, and it's only cost 1. But the ability is when rotting corpse is destroyed, place it back into your hand instead of the discard pile. So this is a great one because what will happen is if this guy goes away, he'll come back into your hand instead of the discard pile, and you can play him again later. And there's 3 of these guys, so it's just like a non-stop flow. This is one card that I'm not exactly sure if I want to keep this many in, because you just keep recycling, but let me know what you guys think. I think these can be kind of great defensively, because you can kind of just keep playing them over and over again. Next we have the Shadow Demon. The Shadow Demons are another great card. Again, they're pretty weak, 2/1. With 1 gold cost, and there's 3 of these in the deck, and the ability is cannot be attacked by elite or epic creatures, and that is where it's amazing. So this Shadow Demon can only be attacked by spells, traps, or basic creatures. He is extremely weak though, so that's the one downfall with him. Next we have 3 Chamber Harpies, and these Chamber Harpies are pretty good because they have a great ability as well. Again, they're very defensive, alright? So maybe not so much for this card, but in the long run. So it's a 2 attack with 1 defense. When played, choose a rival creature. That creature cannot attack next turn. And that is what's really good, because what will happen is you can pretty much disable their creatures if you can't kill them in this turn. And that is why the Chamber Harpy is great. Alright, next we have, I believe, 2 of these Iceling Slashers. These Iceling Slashers are pretty good. 3 attack with 2 defense, with 2 costs though. But when played, rival does not draw on their next turn. This is an amazing card. You can stop them from drawing on their next turn, which might alleviate them from playing any more cards. It's a great card. You just kind of freeze them. Next one, we have 2 of these Dungeon Fungus. So, again, we have another 0 attack with 4 defense this time. Only cost of 1, which is great, but while in play, all rival creatures lose 1 attack. So that's little swords down there representing that. Very good card. I think it's great. Kind of just it's a debuff to all of the rivals' creatures. Next, we have 2 of these Jackal Demons. Now this is the very first card I made, and this is one of my favorite effects in all of TCGs, at least the ones that I make. A 1 attack, 2 defense, only a cost of 1. The ability says, when destroyed by a rival creature, the attacking creature is also destroyed. That could be hugely beneficial, hugely beneficial. Alright, now with the epic creatures. These ones are going to be kind of hard to go at it, but the first one is the Manticore. The Manticore is really great. It does require, now with all epic creatures, the gold cost value is replaced by a question mark because you need to sacrifice, and it'll tell you how much to sacrifice. Now these are creatures that are in play that you're sacrificing. So in order to play this card, you'll have to have at least 2 creatures in play. You sacrifice both these, and then you can play the Manticore. Now obviously his stats are greatly improved to 4/7. No ability though, but that 7 is great. It's a great card to have. Next we have the Abyssal Dragon, 6/6. Again, we have a sacrifice of 2. Abyssal Dragon receives -1 attack from attacking creatures. Now this one's a really great card because especially if you have the Dungeon Fungus, I mean that's -2. And if you had both those Dungeon Fungus out there, oh man, this guy is just going to go to town. So great card to have. And I've only got 1 of each of these epic. Next we have the Chromatic Dragon. Obviously he's got 5 heads there. 7/7. Sacrifice of 3 though, which is pretty extreme. But while in play, if the rival plays a spell or trap card, your next spell or trap card you play is free. Now this is a good one to get some spells and traps out into play that won't obviously cost you anything, which is really good to have. So I think this would be a benefit, great benefit to have in play. Next we have the Hellfire Dragon. Now the Hellfire Dragon is really awesome, and it was the first epic creature I put in this deck. 5/5, it's not that buffed, but sacrifice 2. When played, rival must discard any one card from their hand. This is the one card that it's just like it's like debuffing, but also pretty detrimental to the opposing player. So this is a great card, I think, as far as like a great attacker. And lastly, we have the Living Statue, which the Living Statue is pretty cool. Obviously, we have it's pretty weak in the attack, but 6 defense. It's a sacrifice of 2. While in play, ally basic creatures are immune to rival attacks, spells, and traps. This is huge. So pretty much what you have to do is the rival would have to kill this guy to kill any of your basic creatures. So this is an amazing card to have if you have a lot of basic creatures in play. Alright. The next thing I want to showcase are the items. Now the items are really cool. They're in this blue border here. This is the 7-gem amulet. Cost 1, which is really good because equipped to an ally creature, the ally creature is immune to epic creature attacks. So if they're just piling on epic creatures, throw this thing on. Throw this thing on any creature and you'll be alright, I promise. Next we have the Mirror Shield. A cost of 1. Equipped to an ally creature. While this item is in play, you are immune to any spell cards and creature attacks. So pretty much what they need to do is somehow destroy this item or use any kind of trap card on it or do something to get rid of this Mirror Shield, because obviously this is going to do some pretty big stuff there. And lastly, we have the Infantry Armor, which I think would be pretty great because if you equip it to an ally creature, and he gets +1 attack and +1 defense. So that's a pretty good item to have for this defensive deck, I would think. Next we have spells. I have 4 different spells. Again, one of each of these. We have Sacred Heal. Sacred Heal heals you 2 life or heart points. Then we have Earth Pillar, which gives all of your ally creatures +1 defense until your next turn, which I think is great. It only costs 1. Polarize, which is great. You switch, this is like Sword and Shield in Yu-Gi-Oh! You switch your attack points with your defensive points, which is pretty awesome. And then we have Fireball. Fireball is an attack of 1, and then you can destroy any one basic creature. So this is a great attacking one to kind of narrow their deck down, or narrow their play field down. Alright, and lastly, what I have here are the traps that I've chosen. Let's see. I'm going in order here. Alright. So I got more traps than spells for this one, again, because this is more defensive. We have Save Point, which means, here, I'll kind of read this one because it's harder to read off the screen. When you lose 2 heart points in 1 turn, heal 3 heart points. So that's great. That's an amazing card. Next we have Repel. Repel is great because what will happen is when your heart points are damaged, negate all damage you would receive. So that's a great one to keep your heart points intact. Redirect, which is a great card. This one, when a rival creature attacks, negate the attack and redirect the damage to the attacking creature. I don't know why I'm stuttering over these words, but very cool. And I like the way that card came out. And we have 2 redirects, so I think those ones would be cool. Arcane Flames. This one just stops any spells. So when a rival plays a spell card, you can negate the effects of the spell, which is great because it's a cost of 0. So I mean, you can just hold this in your hand. You don't even have to save any gold for that. And then we have Ice Trap. Ice Trap's pretty good, and I think, yep, I only got one of these. When the rival plays a creature, that creature cannot attack until their next turn. And again, another 0 cost, which is really good. It's a lot like one of those creatures that I played that I can't remember what it is. Harpy, Chamber Harpy. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'm definitely down for some input. I mean, I've got a bunch of cards here that you guys haven't even seen. I mean, this is just the elite creatures in this deck. I mean, we got tons of creatures. But this should be available even prior to even probably Kid Nitro 1. So if you guys are looking forward to this, please, I could definitely use some input, because I think this is a good idea for the defensive deck. But I mean, if you guys think I need more or less, or maybe add some more stuff, or if you guys have ideas for cards or effects or abilities, let me know. I would love to hear some stuff, and you know, I wouldn't mind adding a little bit more to set 1. Again, set 1 sitting at about 135 cards, I think, somewhere in there, and I can add more. I mean, what? It's just a number. So the booster packs, obviously, if you guys are following me on Facebook at all, or watched my last video, you saw what the booster packs are going to look like. So that's it's going to come with, I think, 15 cards, 15 or 16 cards, and it'll have 1 rare card, and the rare cards are going to be those epic creatures, and there's tons of them. So I mean, it'll be fun trying to collect them all. Just to kind of give you an idea, so the epic, we've got Blasphemy here. He's pretty cool looking, and then we've got the Demon Queen, which, oh man, her ability is just sweet. Please pause the video to read any more of these, and then I'll show you 1 or 2 more. We got the Grave Dragon, which is another amazing card. Pull some cards out of your discard pile, and then Ultimate Knight. Ultimate Knight does double damage to epic creatures. Pretty sweet. So, please, if you want to know more about Dungeon Arena, please continue following these videos. But please comment. I can use whatever help you guys want that you guys can give me. I know you guys are more TCG styled, and I think you guys can help out a lot, I think. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have. Hopefully you guys have a great weekend, and just do what you do.